Thank you, Bruce. Good morning, Toastmasters. If I look tired, it's because I am. Brno, B-R-N-O, hard to pronounce. Brunn in German is a town it's the capital of the state of Moravia, which is part of the Czech Republic, the other part being Bohemia. You may have heard those names. It's a city of about 300,000 people, a couple of hours southeast of Prague. We went there for a day and a half, and we happened upon a museum, Villa Löwbeer. We didn't know about it in advance, but we're kind of walking around cities where we are, and there was the museum, and we decided, looks interesting. In the front of it, you had 4 gold tiles, gold or shiny brass tiles that were sitting in the pavement. They told the story about what happened to the inhabitants, the owners, and the family of that house during World War II, during the Holocaust. You find those tiles all over major and smaller cities in Eastern Europe and in Germany these days as a memory of the atrocities that happened during World War II. The family, Löwbeer, most of them managed to escape before the war. They got out in 1938, except for the patriarch of the family who stayed back to try to save their business, a textile manufacturing, or rather to sell it before he got out, but unfortunately he didn't. Today it's a museum about the family history. This is just one example of many, many museums and similar outfits all over Eastern Europe today that you can visit. Coming from the West and growing up during the Cold War, we learned about the Holocaust, obviously, World War II, the atrocities. But the period leading up to World War II was kind of a historical haze, if you would like. I mean, I knew about pogroms, I knew about ghettos, the first one actually established in Venice in 1512. Ghetto is an Italian word. But somehow the Iron Curtain shut off that part of history. But the fact is that Eastern Europe had the majority of Jews leading up to World War II. Germany only had 1% of a population of 50 million, so 500,000. Poland, 10% of the population were Jewish, 3 million. The cities of Vienna and Hungary, the old capitals of the Habsburg Empire, both had over 10% of Jews. And most of the history is one of oppression. You may not have heard about, I hadn't, about the familiant laws that were in place for hundreds of years. What were they? Well, they were laws that regulated where Jews could live and how many they could be. They set a percentage of the population, said that, okay, we let 1, 2, 3, whatever percent of the population be Jewish. And so when Jews wanted to marry, wanted to have children, well, someone actually basically had to die before someone else could marry and have children. I mean, the population increased slowly, so it increased a little bit. But those were the kind of condition that Jews lived under in most of Eastern Europe for hundreds of years, leading up to the 1820s, when things started to become slightly liberalized. And it was those liberalizations that allowed Jews to eventually own property. Before that, they were not allowed to own real estate. And the family that I talked about, Löwbeer, that's when they started to build up their textile empire in the city of Brunn or Brno in the Czech Republic. As I mentioned, we associate anti-Semitism primarily with the Nazi period. but it obviously goes back a lot longer than that. It's something that's been around basically since the rise of Christianity, you can say. And it was even more emphasized once the Islamic religion came about. So today we're primarily familiar, or up till between World War II until a year ago, it was primarily in the Middle East that we saw anti-Semitism on display. From the river to the sea, destroy the state of Israel. Well, since October last year, there is an ominous trend that anti-Semitism is taking hold more and more in the West as well. We see it primarily on campuses. We see it on the political left, but it's kind of brewing on the political right as well. And anti-Semitism, historically, it's a horrible phenomenon in and of itself, but it's also a canary in the coal mine, because it tells us about things to come. It kind of is an indication of worse things that are underneath the surface. So today we see an increase in nihilism, people supporting terrorists in the Middle East for whatever reason. It's hard to find any rational reasons for it. So when we see anti-Semitism on display today, we really should be careful. And please, read up on, even better, visit Central Europe. Visit the countries behind the former Iron Curtain, because it will be an eye-opener for you. Good morning.